Workshop Manager here at Port Augusta. And our project title is Port Augusta Workshops, a business enterprise. Our overall project objective is to establish Port Augusta Workshops as a profitable business enterprise by 30th of June 1995. Achievement of this overall objective clearly requires that we adopt a whole series of strategies to address a whole range of issues that impact on the profitability of Port Augusta Workshops. Accordingly, our plan embraces a number of what we call enabling objectives that have been classified for the purpose into two categories. Firstly, what we call local enabling objectives. Those objectives relate to those that impact directly on the workshop's business unit. And they cover a whole range of areas such as safety, quality, contract procedures, manpower planning, overhead reduction, which happens to be a critical one in relation to profitability, reduction of unit costs, increasing our total turnover, and finally the introduction of the workshop's planning system, commonly known as WMS. The global enabling objectives are those which impact on other areas, other business units within the rail transport division. And we have basically four areas that we're trying to address as part of this presentation. Firstly, the integration of Port Augusta Workshops with other business units within Australia National. Secondly, the customer interface, in particular with the National Rail Corporation, which is one of our main customers, as well as Morrison Knudsen. Thirdly, the industrial relations implications associated with those changes that will be occurring in the workplace. And finally, the tendering with respect to the rail transport division. I'd now like to introduce the other members of my team. Firstly, on my left, I've got Barry Edwards here. Barry's a senior coordinator in the workshops, likewise with Neil Miller. And finally, Gary Kerno, who is a technical officer who supports the locomotive maintenance. I'll now hand over to these other team members to walk us through those individual objectives.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon, fellow railway workers.
Well done.
Building the future. The thing in building is you need some tools and some equipment. And the tools we are using are bricks and mortar. The bricks are going to be the strategies for building the future. The mortar will be efficient mobilisation and motivation of the manpower for implementation of those strategies. And whatever we build, as the civil branch people would understand, is that you need a decent foundation. One of the things that we say is a decent foundation for us in terms of safety is what has happened since 1989. As you will see there, we have made a dramatic improvement in our overall safety situation. Our total accidents have been reduced dramatically. Lost time accidents are down from 92 to 25. Days lost have come down from 1845 down to 91. Our performance index is down from 1829 to 110. In dollar savings, our compensation premiums have dropped from 787 odd thousand down to 411,000, a saving of $375,000. Now, not only is that a saving, but it's a reduction in our costs, which must improve our profitability. The reduction in manpower days lost has also resulted in a saving of around $280,000 on working expenditure figures. We've got that in terms of, we didn't have to pay that out because the blokes weren't there, but also we gained production because they were there to do something. And that's probably more important than saying we save the dollars, because if we don't output, we can't sell. If we don't sell, we're down the drain. Our future gains will be built on our strategies in the past, but improving, because we are a continuous improvement organisation. We will continue to do further relevant training. We will make a consolidation of our buildings, some of the older buildings that have been high in cost for maintenance and other factors. When we get into trouble with National Safety Council audits, they come through and say, oh yeah, the windows are broken, or this is wrong, or that is wrong. We'll get out of those buildings. We'll consolidate all our functions in the two main buildings in the main workshop area. It'll make supervision a bit easier. It'll make through working a lot better. But it'll also be better for the blokes in terms of safety. There'll be newer equipment through our workshop redevelopment. And another thing that we are going to do, and we have done on a minor scale in the past, is a celebration when goals are attained. If we set a goal target, we reach that target, let's go out and celebrate it. Bugger, if we get kicked in the neck enough and we don't do things right, when we achieve something, let's go out and celebrate that fact. Our long-term goal in terms of safety is a performance index of 75. We believe it's attainable. That will give us a star rating of around about 4.5, which to us will be a major achievement, and we'll have another celebration when that happens. Another major implementation of the Port Augusta workshops for the building of the future, for the building of everybody's future, is quality certification. We're well down the track. We've got our procedures manual, we've got our quality manual, we've passed the desktop audit. We anticipate that we'll get certification in December, and everything from then will flow on, and at a massive rate. The advantages that we see from certification will get some credibility outside our organisation. We know how good we are, and we've been a bloody good organisation for a long time. When we get Bureau Veritas in, they'll confirm the fact that we're a good organisation. People outside will know about us, learn about us, and it should improve our contractual arrangements whereby we can go out and bring more work in. It'll increase job stability for those that are still in the organisation. Those that are there, that are working to the quality system, will know they've got a good product, will be proud of that product. People that buy it will talk about it, we'll get some more contracts, more dollars, more turnover, greater profitability. Our customer service will improve. Quality certification, accreditation is about customer service. If you supply the customer what he wants, when he wants it, at an agreed price, he'll come back. I know Jim does when he buys his car, and he gets a heap of shit, he doesn't go back there, he goes and buys a good item. And all customers are the same. Customer relationship will increase through consultation. In the past, we may have had a tendency to say, yes, we've got that job, we'll do it, well, goodbye. We will continue to negotiate with our customer to make sure that he's getting what he wants when he wants. Let's not wait for non-conformance reports to come in to say that things aren't right. Let's go out and find out if there's minor problems early. And from our perspective in the workshops, it'll be greater job satisfaction. The old days when you had a system of the boss coming along when the product was finished and he says, that's not right, Barry. You say, piss off, not again. What'll happen is that the bloke that's doing the job will own the job with the work instructions and the work procedures. He'll have checkpoints built into the system that he can identify early if there's a problem. He'll have the authority, the responsibility and the skilled knowledge to correct that fault early. Let's not wait until we get to the end of the job and find out there's something wrong. We'll build it in early and we'll build a consistent, good product. I'll now pass you on to Neil Miller, who will continue our presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Good afternoon. As in today's business world, costs play an important factor. It could make the difference between survival and failure. So costs are one of the important factors in the business of today. Our main objective in the reduction of overheads within the Port Augusta workshops is objective in that by 1995 we want to have it down to 80%. A bit of background is that over the last couple of years we've had very generous budgets in the workshop expenditure side on the 448. As you go back to 91-92, we had a total of $6.8 million. We had a labour content of $5.5 million, materials 678,000, and sundries 567,000. And over the current year, 93-94, we've been cut drastically for a total of $1.9 million. And the components of that are labour, roughly just over $1 million, materials 430,000, and sundries 500,000. Now, some strategies to make us more effective, reduce our overheads, are to consolidate and rationalise all our workshop activities. Some of the ways of doing this is to reduce buildings. If we can reduce buildings, we reduce maintenance costs. Thus, you're saving dollars. Costing, we plan to all our ancillary staff to book their time to actual jobs. In the past, we've had the benefits of sort of hiding some in 448, but it doesn't give you a true cost of how you're operating. The people that I'm talking about there are the crane drivers, truck drivers, people like that. Another way we can do it with some capital investment of 400,000 in the liquid waste management system. In the current trend of environmental friendly, we have to address these situations, and we can save ourselves $100,000 a year. Within 4 years, it will pay for itself. In conclusion of overheads, by reducing our overheads, we become more competitive in our field with cost structures, and in the bidding for work by 11% reduction in our pricing. Onto costs, which plays another major part. Our objective is to reduce the unit cost by 3% before 30th of June 1995. Current background is we have no fixed costs currently. We've had a monopoly on the business. But now we have customers such as NRC. People ring up now, they ask for a quote on bogey repair. We can't give them a price at this stage. We have to go out, find resources, and then work out prices, times, and whatever. And it's not utilising your resources properly. So we get a delay in information, and with that we get no customer satisfaction. Thus we could lose the business. Some strategies to improve this is structural efficiency. With that we can reduce our labour costs. We can't do much with materials because they are fixed. With the structural efficiency we get the teamwork approach and the multi-skilling. You don't have to rely on 4 or 5 different trades or non-trade areas to finish up a job. We can get it down to maybe 2 or 3 people that see the job from start to finish. With that, people are going to get job satisfaction, they'll get sense of achievement, they'll also get ownership of the product. Some of the benefits from this better utilisation of staff, will increase our capability, generate more work, and give us the opportunity to grow our business. And with that, I'd like to thank you and hand over to Gary, who will talk on contracts.
Thanks, Neil. Good afternoon, everybody. Port Augusta Workshops needs to win outside contracts to become a real business enterprise. In this regard, one of our support objectives is to implement improved contract procedures to aid providing more accurate quotation to the customer, to achieve consistent profitability and ensure promised delivery times. And we hope to have all this in place by the 30th of March next year. We aim to optimise by 85% of our tender document preparations to within 5 business days. This turns around the thing back to the customer so he knows where we're heading straight away. He's not waiting on a quotation back from us. Also, to achieve consistent net profit of 15% on our labour component and to deliver to the customer's product on time every time. Some of the background, present locomotive component overhauls we're doing for the Morrison Knudsen in our workshops began probably very amateurishly. Our quotations were put together as if we'd done it for internal customers. Although we were correct on the labour side of it, other considerations were overlooked. As far as our material costs go, we went straight to the supply computer. Many of those prices were out of date. Components hadn't been turned over in our Port Augusta store. Way out of date. They didn't include on costs. So there we were putting together material costs to the customer and we're doing ourselves out of money. To start with, stores, because it was a reimbursement job order, they started to charge us the full reimbursement cost, although we'd been told not to. They were charging us 32% on cost. Transport considerations. Charges weren't fully covered. We got quotes from transport. All of a sudden, these costs were escalating. Alternator is an example, sent across to Whaler from our workshops on a flat wagon we've been using for ages. We didn't consider that it was a commercial vehicle, so therefore the higher rate applied. So we were doing ourselves out of money again. Profit and warranty provisions weren't included. We started from the nil profit and we worked it out that perhaps we should be including profits. And at this stage we're probably in an exaggerated state where we're charging probably too much. We need to also look at what the market acceptable rate for a profit will be. I mean, it's no use keeping on going, oh well they're accepting it this time, we'll keep our profits escalating. Another major consideration was supply branch issues. Material lead time from the stores branch has really put us behind in a lot of projects. We had to consider whether we drew out of stock holdings in supply. They had a lot of problems with that because it was upsetting all their usage rates. So we had to go in and special purchase, and again that resulted in further delays. Initially we lacked a bit of a coordination between workshops. We had Islington workshops quoting as well as us in the case again of the alternators. Islington beat us in with their quotation. We did the work here, so we had to work to Islington's quotation. Again, we're behind the 8 ball again. Some of our strategies, through this learning curve we've gone through in regard to the tender processes, has highlighted many of our deficiencies as well as our efficiencies. And we've identified and formed these into some of our strategies. Intend to produce tender procedures. This will cover all aspects of tender preparation, ensure that all relevant costs are captured, and the profit margin guys on the shop floor, if you go to them, they come and have some input into our quotation. They take some ownership of the project. When it comes to actually doing the work, this results in probably a better production from the guys that are actually doing the work. Also include, because of our budgets, of late we've had to start including the cost of immediate supervisors into our quotation. This helps again to reduce our overhead rates. So if they're included in the contract, we can reduce our overheads and reduce our cost to the customer again. Customer focus to include or start having a contract sales representative, someone to source contract work, follow up with customer concerns, acceptance with the completed product, see that we're doing the right thing by them. Also, to produce a reliable quality product is important to ensuring continuing customer association. Also, to develop strategic business partnerships. So, in the case of Morrison Hudson, AN is going all out to sort of make sure they really do well. There's always, while they're over there, there's always spin-offs to us. WMS, Works Management System. It's a brief overview of that. It's a computer-based system to capture all AN7's job orders, contract work, and this will provide those interested in daily life-to-date status on all projects. The next one, a jigsaw puzzle. Port Augusta is only one part of the overall jigsaw puzzle with AN. We need to interface with other internal business units, such as the Motor Power Centre, Islington, Passenger and Travel, for example. We're to treat them the same as our outside customers. It's no use putting all our resources just into Morrison Hudson work. Make sure it's got requirements that he needs, and it's no use just putting him on the back burner. Continuing workshop redevelopment. With technologies changing every day, we constantly need to continue and to update and equip ourselves with up-to-date equipment to handle future customer needs. Conclusions. The outlined strategies will go a long way to ensuring that the following is achieved. Reducing workshop overheads. Reducing these will, this reduces labour rates, therefore become more competitive in quoting. We can reduce our overheads at the base labour rate, we can probably produce a higher profit margin. This can be passed on to internal customers. For what profits we make, we can reduce our overheads, therefore our internal customers don't have to pay as much. We increase revenue into Australian National. We've got money coming back to ensure our capital works can be funded. Right, now I'll pass over to John just to wrap up a few recommendations.
Thanks, Gary. Just in closing, our vision is to be a strong, profitable, quality business and to fulfil a key role in the future success of Australian National. The strategies outlined here today are those which we believe collectively will enable us to achieve that vision. And accordingly, all the strategies that we've been putting up here today, we recommend that Australian National approve those strategies for implementation. So at this point, I might now like to open up for questions.
Just one question, John. When Neil was saying the materials were fixed, what do you mean by that?
Sorry?
When he said the materials were fixed?
Well, the material costs in general are, for example, with a bogey overhaul, the actual cost of the materials is a fixed component which we don't really have much control over. The combined cost of new pins and bushers, wear plates, brake shoes, etc., all those are a fixed cost which we don't have a great deal of control over. So that's where we get the terminology fixed cost.
A couple of things. starting to look like your 88, 89 thing, you should leave that out. That's all I'd say to that. So you don't really have to reply to that.
I could answer it, Bill.
Yeah, give him a
No.
snap.
Well, basically, as you know, our 448 budget this year was based on a fairly large return in the capital recovery from the IP project. Now, that clearly hasn't happened. The budget was framed on 9 cars in shop for the full 12 periods, 13 periods. And the reality is, at the start of the financial year, we had 4 cars in shop. We've now brought it up to 6, and we're heading up to an 8-car program before the end of the year. So that's basically the difference between plan and the reality.
Yeah, my point was that if you're going to demonstrate a massive reduction from 6 million down to 1 million or whatever it was, that was in that order, but the 1 million is actually going to be 3 million at the end of the financial year, you should reflect that, because that, otherwise the figures sound a little bit rubbery to, and it's fairly well known amongst all those that would be attending. The other thing was, you mentioned several times about your overheads being reduced. I think you should give some indication of what they are now or what you expect them to go to, so that me for one, as I didn't have a feel for what they were now. And
We did point out the overhead component, that is the workshop component of the overhead, is currently about 96%, and we're aiming at getting down to 84%. So
Down to 80, 95.
and further on down to 80 by 1995.
It was mentioned, yeah.
you were asleep, Jim.
One more question, Jim.
My apologies. And the other thing I thought was, overall, if I can just make a comment, I thought the presentation was excellent. And Barry certainly had, apart from using the name, but he had he had me on the toes, and I thought he was exceptionally good. And I'd think about putting him last because he comes over a lot stronger than the remainder, and could give you greater emphasis on the actual workshop.
All right. Yeah, there's no doubting the enthusiasm of the group, as Jim said, Barry was always listening. He was sort of thumping the rostrum. But I had a bit of a feeling that you relied on a lot of historical stuff, what had gone past, and particularly Gary harped on a bit about what went wrong with that MK project. I'm not too sure whether that's a good focus for what we're going through here, particularly considering who was involved in some of the MK deals earlier on. I think that might be better if you go that amiss. That was one. Both of you mentioned buildings, and I think in a presentation like this, if you've got something that's tangible that you can put up to the people, remember 7 or 8 of them, a lot of them probably don't know before to go through. If you had an aerial photograph of the workshop area and you could point out what's, where you're going to wipe out something and put something else.
That's exactly what we've got in mind.
Rather
Rather
than for a black And I think you could hone in on the customer a bit more. Gary did. Part of his customer focus was one of the final values, and that was good. But really, that's what it's all about, the business you're actually getting into. And I think you probably put a bit more emphasis in that area. But as I said, the enthusiasm was great.
Thanks, Roy.
Leanne?
Can I just make a couple of comments back there, Roy? I take your point on that business with where we've gone wrong with MK contracts in the past. What we were trying to do there, and we do have to polish it a bit, but we want to demonstrate that it's a learning exercise. I think everybody's going to be learning by it, and it's an opportunity for us to explain to others that are going to be faced with this that you need to get it right. And so what we should do perhaps is very carefully select